We are just coming from COP30, climate action, and that is why today we are gathered here in alignment with SDG Goal 13, which is about climate action. I think for the past 2 weeks, if you've experienced the heat wave that is ongoing, it's terrible. And I keep asking myself, so if your AC is not working in your car, if your AC is not working at home or in the office, then you are in trouble. So what can we do? And that's why we are here. So we'll start the hangout with this deliberation, which is more like a roundtable discussion where everybody has a role to play. And then afterwards, we would hang out properly outside. So once again, welcome. And I'm going to be your host, your convener, and anything else you want to give me, I'm ready to do. I'm at your service. So before we start, I would like to officially say thank you to A1. I have my boss here, so I would let my boss give a few remarks, opening remarks, and then we can start. So A1 is the African School for Sanitation and Waste Management. But normally we say KSWA because it's affiliated to the KNUST. So we say KSWA. So it's now NUST, African School of Sanitation and Waste Management. And what do we do here? We do everything you can think about with regards to sustainability. We train, we build capacity, we advocate, we seek for funding. We do everything that sustainability goals wants us to do. And at the end of the day, for me, I think it's collaboration. So we can't do it all by ourselves, and that's why tonight we have all of you here. So I'll give the mic to my boss to give us a few remarks. But I will first of all say thank you very much. My first boss is Dora. She's not here. So we'd like to say thank you wherever she is for giving us the space and also for the collaboration. And then this is our HR. His name is Louis. So Louis, I'll hand over the microphone to you. Please, you can join me here, rather. Yes. And then you can give us a few remarks.
That's a few, right?
Yes.
This is the second series in something we really want to push for. That is sustainability. I mean, as she said, if you look at, this month has been a bit crazy. It rains, then the sun comes out, and then what is going on? But it makes us think that the climate is changing. And we think that we are in our part of the world, but we are not being affected. But when I listen to some of the speeches from COP30, especially those from the Pacific Islands, they are saying the islands are virtually being written off the map. And I was like, oh, that's something serious. Because you think that is something which is far away, but actually affecting people's lives. And even here in Ghana, of course, we have the famous Kita area where the oceans are just reclaiming lands. So it's a call for action, and in our little way, we can change. We can influence government policy to ensure that they take green transition and sustainable energy much more seriously. So we are all here, we are on this together. KNUST A1, which we want to even change to sustainability. Because aside of the sanitation, we want to change to sustainability. We want to be the driving force behind this action to influence policy so that we will encourage our organizations to take more green initiatives, more renewable energy, more solar energy, so to reduce the pressure on our environment. And in our little way, as we do this, maybe those, okay, Ghana is a small country, but we are going to achieve our SDG goals. And that should more or less shame the bigger countries into taking action. So thank you again for your time, and we hope to have a very great interactive session. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you so much, my boss. So at this point, I would call on Evans Frimpong just to give us a few insights as to the realities, and then we'll take the discussion forward. Thank you very much.
Can we count the number of women in this room? 30. And the men are
woefully inadequate.
So can we comfortably say that in this room we've achieved the goal 5?
Yes.
So we have overachieved the goal 5. We don't have any problem with that. But we don't know about climate action in terms of the goal 30. Let me acknowledge the dignitaries in this. I don't know your names, but Nana Hema, so thank you for coming. You're welcome. Nana, Thank you for having me. Okay, my name is Evans, and I work with the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation. But whatever I'm going to say here has nothing to do with GFPs. It has to do with us and the actions we seek to take to save our planet. It's going to be as interactive as possible. I don't know if we are aware that it's left with only 4 years for the goal 13 or the whole SDG timeline to end. And we ask ourselves, what have we done so far? Have we been able to achieve what the goal seeks to achieve? What have we done as individuals? What have we done as corporate institutions? Have we done enough to say that, okay, now we can say that we've achieved all the SDGs, so we don't have any problem? No, we can't say that to ourselves. So I want to ask, in your own way, do you have any idea how far we've come as a country? Anybody at all can answer. Whatever you know Ghana is doing concerning the SDGs, can you point out at least 2-3 things that the government or the previous governments have done in this regard? No, specifically to climate change. Yes.
Tree planting.
Okay.
The national determined contribution.
Okay. That's the international policy that we signed up to.
Yeah, but Ghana has its own.
Oh, okay.
Yes, in response to that global.
Okay, so what my dear sister wants to say is that we teased out some of the things enshrined in the updated nationally determined contributions, which forms Ghana's national energy transition framework. So that's what we've done, and it's a good step.
We may also pass the regulations on air quality
Okay.
and the past. I mean, you know the policy was, but now the regulations are being available to guide the regulations of the year.
Okay. Okay, I think one thing I need to also add is that this year we heard of a new ministry that was set up in charge of climate change and sustainability. And I believe, in my personal view, it's a very good thing that we are doing. It's a good step we are taking. Just today I was in a conference and the minister was there, and it was about sustainability reporting. We are doing a lot as a country, but we are not bragging about it. And the world doesn't really know what we are doing. Ghana actually prepared every commentary and information about IFRS S1 and S2, which has to do with financial reporting of sustainability and the requirements. But funny enough, Nigeria overtook us to win the award for being the first country to adopt S1 and S2, which is bad. We've taken the initiative long time, but in terms of the adoption, we were just lagging, which is very bad. I'll come back to that in terms of the reporting, but now I want us to touch on the things that we are doing with regards to climate action. You mentioned some of the few things, but one thing I want to say is that the problems are still linked. We still see floods affecting so many parts of our country, especially Accra. What is the problem? That you are not building in the right way. You have other stakeholders taking monies to approve the permit for the building to be built, which is a very bad thing. That is one. Our waste disposal habits. I saw a video yesterday and I was very sad. It was raining heavily and the lady just looked left and right and just threw the rubbish on the road. And the guy videoing was just saying, giving commentary about it. He didn't even take the steps to go and, draw her attention that what you're doing is not good. But he just allowed that to happen. It's a sad thing, and it's related to behavioral thing that I'm talking about. It's very difficult to change behaviors because people have their own culture, they have their own beliefs, they have whatever that they feel makes them happy. So they will continue to do that. But we have a collective action to make sure that all these are done in the right way. So I'm glad you mentioned sanctions, but who is going to enforce it? I remember growing up, I used to hear about town council. The moment we hear they are coming around, we start to run, make sure we tidy up our little spaces, and it was so good. Just that it created some fear. But I think Ghanaians, we need radical change. Honestly speaking, we need radical change. So in all these, the government is playing its role. We have various institutions available, but in terms of the awareness creation, implementation is on the low, and we need to do better. Because we are not talking so much about what we are doing, SDG Index even rates Ghana as 117th out of 166 countries that are implementing SDGs, which is very, very bad. It doesn't speak well of us at all. And we don't have much time to accelerate the change and to implement all these. If the government is playing its role very well, we are likely to reduce emissions by 24.6 metric tons of CO2 equivalent before the 2030 timeline, which is very significant. And we are also likely to improve our renewable energy adoption and also ensure resilience by 45.8% before the timeline. But this will require rigorous efforts to ensure that we reach this particular target. And it is also likely to reduce the flood impact of about 500,000 people who are always affected by erratic rainfalls every year. Let's come to ourselves as individuals. Can anybody in this room tell me what they are personally doing to improve SDG 30? The change starts with us. We are making sure that the company has a very tidy environment. We segregate our waste, and we also make sure that all the plastics are put in a receptacle where a dedicated company will pick it up and then use it for additional purposes. So that's the little I'm also doing. So I think in all these, just to wrap it up, we are going to benefit a lot. And one thing we can benefit, my dear sister will agree with me that if we're able to do things right, plant trees and other things, we are going to get clean air. Oh, I'm lying. Yes, so we are going to improve our air quality and we'll be able to breathe well. Now, galamsey and other things are also affecting our kidneys and other things. So if we're able to curb all these things, we'll be able to improve our health and have a good health. And in terms of jobs too, I think we can create jobs for ourselves, like my brother is doing as a farmer. So you can also have an entrepreneurial role as my sister is also doing, and we'll create jobs for other people too. And it will fit into a lot of SDGs rather than just the goal 30. And I think it will also help us to build stronger communities if we're able to do this right. I know of a king at a place, I think the GMPC Foundation went there to do a project, and the way he was passionate about it and the way his community members show him respect because of the initiatives he's personally doing in there, it was marvelous. So it was just an add-on that GMPC Foundation was adding to what he's doing in his community. And I think if we are all in sync with this particular goal, we'll be able to do much for ourselves. So I encourage us all to do more and also make noise about what we are doing. Let people know what you are doing so that they also feel encouraged to do more. So I'll use a debtor and a creditor scenario, for instance. If you owe someone and you don't really know the amount you owe, you will pay back a lot without knowing the exact amount you know. So you have to know the debt you owe and pay according to that particular amount, and make sure that you don't shoot yourself in the foot. So thank you so much for giving me your ear, and let's enjoy the rest of the program.
Mrs. Roslyn Fosua EJ.
Thank you so much. Hey, someone says Twitter. A very good evening to everyone. And apologies, I came in late. I got lost. I was trying to swerve the traffic and then the Kukumba took me somewhere else. But Doc, thank you so much for the opportunity. I met Dr. Genevieve not too long ago, and the impact is already rubbing off. Our ability to be here and to speak, I don't take it for granted at all. I always say that this is a space for learning, and every day you encounter someone, you learn something else, no matter what you are privy to already. So Doc mentioned that I'm just coming from COP30. Please, how many of us know about COP30? Okay, so then you know that this has been going on for some time now, and there are a number of conventions addressing different things. This convention is the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. That's addressing climate change. We have the ones addressing desertification, biological diversity, and wetlands, a number of them. The question is, why don't we measure all of them? Because they all border on the same things, but people want to manage their turfs and take care of them. Because when we go, they are the same conversations. But I've come to realize that these spaces have also become very political spaces. They're actually political, but they have now become very political. You would wonder what the space has been discussing for 30 years and we still don't have the solutions. They are spaces for businesses. People go there to do business. You can't just sit on the fence and think it's a real climate conversation that's happening there. There are so many things interwoven in there because we know what climate change is and where it's coming from. It's the fossil fuel usage. Through the industrial era, don't even think about Africa or Ghana. Our contributions as a continent, I think it's just about 4% of the whole global contributions. And we are a developing state. So we still have to use these resources to develop. Albeit we have the opportunity to do it sustainably so we can learn from the mistakes of those ahead of us. But the question is, why are they not paying for us to do that? That's what this whole space is about. When you get into the climate change conversation, we are looking at government to government discussions, the developed world versus the developing world. We came to the Paris Agreement, which was in 2015, which said that it is true that the developed countries have polluted, but as developing countries, we can learn a thing or two. And we all have a role to play. So let's come up with what we call nationally determined contributions. Every country puts down what it can do to address climate change. And we are not just addressing it in a vague situation. We have a temperature target. When you talk about climate change, it's about warming temperatures. Temperatures are rising. So we all want to get to a 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature. And we are trying to do 2, but the goal is to get to 1.5. And these nationally determined contributions are what are supposed to get us there. A lot of research has gone on what sectors can contribute. Now, in terms of the sectors that are emitting, the energy industrial sectors, of course, because of fossil fuel use, they are very high. But in recent time, we've realized that the forestry sector is also, I think, the 3rd largest emitter. Because anytime you cut down a tree, so when you cut it down and you use it for furniture, some of the carbon is still locked in. You lose some in transmission because, of course, some would end up being waste. But the point is, from our little photosynthesis, trees use carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is one of the notorious greenhouse gases. So once you cut short the life of the tree, it cannot sequester any more carbon dioxide. But when you have the trees, then you are sequestering a lot more carbon dioxide. Now, you lose that carbon dioxide immediately when there are fires. So depending on what is also causing the loss of the forest or the loss of the trees is also very important. And this conversation is what took center stage at COP30 in Brazil. I believe we all know what forests mean for Brazilians. They host about 60% of the Amazon rainforest. It's a very large biome. And the indigenous people there are very active, they are very strong. In all these conversations about forests, we always talk about the stewards of these forests, which are indigenous people. In Ghana, per definition, we don't have. So the definition is different. It's not just coming from a place, but there's a UN definition for who an indigenous person is. In most instances, they have their own territorial demarcation, they have their own judicial system, and they don't really conform to the bigger national context. They own those lands that they are on. Sometimes they speak a language that no one else can understand. There are certain characteristics of indigenous people. So in Ghana, we fall into the category of local communities because we have all these local communities who are fringing our forests. And when we talk about climate change conversations, the number one is really to talk about them because they believe that they have been disenfranchised. If you get into Ghana's constitution, all these lands that we believe are stool lands are still vested in the president. He's taking care of them. The local communities believe that they should be given some power over them, or at least they should be part of the decision-making processes. And Ghana has really advanced in that state. Now we are doing lots of community resource management, areas where communities have a say in how we are managing the forest. Sometimes they are the culprits, of course. You can't blame them because it's about livelihoods. Most of the people who are doing Galamsey, I always say we have to do an unpacking of the whole Galamsey chain. Someone finances. The people you normally see on the ground, they are not the financiers. They are just there because they must find a particular type of livelihood. Now they have had these forests with them for a very long time, but then they are not seeing the value of the standing forest. They rather see value when it is cut down. So in Brazil, one of the key outcomes was the formation of this fund or facility called the Tropical Forest Forever Facility, which says that for every country that has standing forests with a deforestation rate of 0.5 and below, you should be paid to keep that forest standing. Because at the moment, the different incentives in the carbon markets and others are just paying you for not doing wrong, as someone says it. But then, can we pay for rights? Because the standing forest is already doing right. So don't pay because the person didn't just cut it down. Pay to keep it standing. We had so many expectations for Brazil in terms of fossil fuels. At least a roadmap. Yeah. Not finality, but a roadmap to show that in this number of years or so and so years, we are going to have that phase out. Or even do some kind of segregation. Coal is worse off than oil and gas. So at least do some segregation, but that didn't happen.
Okay, so this evening we are supposed to be looking at climate change, leadership, innovation, and action. Climate change, leadership, innovation, and then action. So I told her that I am entrepreneurship biased, like how somebody is forestry biased, somebody is fossil fuel biased, so like the angles. I am entrepreneurship biased. Now I believe that when we talk about climate change, leadership, innovation, and action, a lot has to do with entrepreneurs. How many people will agree with me here? Leadership, innovation, and action. Who are really taking their action? Who are doing the job? Okay, so I was thinking about this and I said, we are lucky to have a attendant to share what happened there with us. We are happy to have our brother who even started this whole conversation with us. What we are not aware of is the fact that this whole climate change thing is affecting Ghana in a more definite way than we can even think. We know what is happening with our flood situation. You see, flood is not only happening in the cities. The flood is happening in the villages. It's destroying farms. We have funded rice farmers in Abele. And by the time they were harvesting, the rice was soaked in water. So at the end of the day, they couldn't even get the money to pay. Now talk about the destruction that is happening in the city. You are constructing and reconstructing. The budget that we have for our development is not enough. But now, the flood is destroying things that we have to go back and build and spend money. That is what we are talking about here. It's not about the COP per se. You think that, oh, maybe by your location. If it's your location, you are uphill. I'm telling you, the wind will still bring it in another form. So whichever way you go, we are talking about something that is affecting us as human beings right here in Ghana. Now, you think that we are not industrial, we are not China, we are not America. But to tell you the truth, the trolls, the air that is coming from that car,
The exhaust.
now the tires that they are burning. Anytime I'm traveling along the Hajo Road, I have new pictures. Right near our MP, there is a tire seller. And what they do is that, trying to dispose of the tires they don't want, they put it ablaze. Now, you are in traffic and they are burning that. You can't avoid. You have to use air condition. Who says that the air condition stops the air from entering? And you even lock your car. So the little that is able to enter, you are right inside there. Inhaling. In traffic. So, you see, we have come to a point that we as individuals, in our country, we really have to think about who is actually leading this change, who is leading the innovation, and who is acting.
Dr. Genevieve for the great opportunity to be here this evening. As Dr. Papa said, we should leverage an opportunity to also create some entrepreneurial ventures, while still solving the issues concerning climate action. So in school, my team and I decided to also solve issues regards to plastic pollution on campus. And as part of that, we also do a lot about 3D printing, if you know a little bit about it. And we decided that since the 3D printing, the filament which is being used is also plastic, then there is also a chance for us to convert the bottle waste into a filament which we can use for 3D printing as well, so that at least we can let's say leverage on local products instead of purchasing the filaments, which is quite very expensive. So we decided to come up with a filament extruder. So it was a machine we built in-house in our lab at school, and that machine, when we kind of heat the bottle, so we heat the bottle up, and when we pass it into the machine, it converts it into a strip. So the strip also uses the same temperature as the normal 3D filaments which we use for printing. So this is a normal filament which we buy or we import from outside for 3D printing, and this is water bottle plastics which has been also used for 3D printing as well. People really don't know much about the segregation aspect of it, and they are kind of lazy. So buying it from other recyclers or other waste management incurs a lot, and we being students, we can't afford that. So sometimes we just use some of this opportunity to speak about it, and people who are interested to partner with us or support us, help us in terms of getting resources which will be used for in terms of collecting the plastic bottles, and the power to also power the machine is made for us to be able to come up with a product we want to do.
So you mean that is written, you have a video soliciting or something? Do you have any form of communication? Any message that you are putting out there?
Oh yes.
But I've never heard it before. I've not seen it.
Okay.
Your environment, but
for me very well.
So that's what I was trying to say.
Title.
That publicity is something we branding and the use of technology for our businesses and even for our own individual projections is very, very critical. Because you see, you might know everything, but if nobody knows what you're doing, there will be no help. And help is always around the corner. When I was in the banking sector, I always said the money is available, but we won't give it to you because you don't have the systems that would make us want to give you the money. Because these are people's money. So when we give it to you, we need the money back. But all I'm trying to say is that you have a good product. how do you market the product to investors? So maybe here you have mentors, you have coaches, you have business gurus like Auntie Akofa. They're always there ready to support. So approach someone, use the opportunity of networking today to meet somebody new who can help you move your business forward. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.